had other ideas.
Are you on your road here today?
Sorry?
Are you on your road here today?
We only have assistant sheriff.
Yeah, but are you on your road here today?
Garda Oak.
Are you on your Garda Oak here today?
I've no comment to make now.
Okay, well, it's on YouTube anyway, so the Gardaí aren't even on the road.
Do you know your road?
Go and have a look. Yeah, have a look.
Have you identification? No, I don't have identification.
Well, then sure, we don't know who you are. That's a piece of
There's the
paper.
warrant signed by the county registrar.
Yeah, but who are you?
County sheriff. Pat Dunn is my name.
Right.
Mr. Wilson knows me here.
Yeah, but are you the sheriff or not the sheriff?
I'm here representing the sheriff.
Representing the
Yeah,
sheriff.
but we rang your office yesterday and you told us outside you were the sheriff. Why is the sheriff not here?
You didn't speak to me yesterday. Tell you the truth. You
No, we
didn't
rang
speak to
your
anyone else
office.
yesterday.
We rang your office and they're all saying you're the sheriff and you're not the sheriff.
I am the sheriff, yes.
You're not the sheriff.
You just said
You just said you're deputy sheriff. Now, are you the sheriff? Hold on. Are you the sheriff or not the sheriff?
Look, I've no further comment to make.
Then,
because
okay,
I
but
don't
then
even know
sure,
who
go on
I'm
about
speaking
your business then, because you've no business
to.
here.
I'm here on the authority of the courts to execute a warrant.
Yeah, that's right. And we haven't seen the warrant, nor have we seen the court orders yet. And we ask you who you are. Right, and you said you're assistant sheriff. Why is the sheriff not here today?
That's the court order.
Who signed it?
What's the proof
Who
of your
signed it?
identification?
Patterson.
Where is it?
The sheriff has signed it. But that's the sheriff.
That's the warrant, yeah.
Yeah, but that's the sheriff.
Yeah.
The sheriff is signing his own orders.
I'm sorry. Mr. Wilson has gone through the courts.
I understand that.
He's appealed this.
I understand, we know that.
I go down right up to the High
Yes.
Court, and our instructions is to execute the warrant.
Exactly, but I'm saying to you is, your warrant is signed
Who am
by
I
the
speaking?
sheriff.
Who am I
Ben
s-
Gilroy is my name.
Yes.
And
And who are you representing?
I'm representing Defend Our Homes League here today.
Yeah.
Right? Now what I'm saying to you is, that order is signed by the sheriff.
Yeah.
Right, so he's making his own orders as a private company to come and take homes.
Look it. This is
I'm getting paid
fully
for it.
legal. Okay?
Not
It's
lawful,
what?
love.
If you want to go to the courts and contest the order, you're more than free to do
Well,
it.
hold on, but sure, the registrar is the guy up on the bench where they're doing the orders and he's signing his own orders and coming as sheriff then to inflict them.
Yeah.
You think that's legal?
And that was just 2 minutes of what was actually a 22-minute confrontation that took place on Monday of this week in Laois, which resulted in the Deputy Sheriff leaving with the Gardaí and the house not been repossessed. And the man that was at the centre of the action is Ben Gilroy, who's a member of Freedom from All Debt and Defend Our Homes, and he joins us now.
Yeah.
And Ben, it's caused quite a lot of controversy, this clip this
Yeah,
week. It's
I mean,
been
we weren't
talked about
expecting
wildly
that.
on the internet and in newspapers.
Yeah, we're the most favourite video on YouTube at the minute, over 150,000 hits. So, but we're getting good responses from people in New Zealand and America and everything, just saying, look, it's about time Irish people start standing up against banks in this country, because they're just ruining the country from what I can see.
How did you get involved? Did the homeowner call you and ask for your
we were
help?
asked.
Did you know him or?
I just knew when he was going through the High Court on an appeal. I think he brought something up about the registrar making his own orders, and that is before the court still. There is a case, and that's why we asked the sheriff to hang on until at least that was heard. Because, I mean, there's no separation of powers when a registrar is on a bench making an order and then he steps down, because the registrar in these counties is the sheriff. So there's no separation of power, because he's making the order to repossess the home, and then he's passing the order to himself and he puts his sheriff hat on, and then he gets poundage, you know, like commission basically. It's all poundage fees that he gets from whatever he collects.
Just tell us the situation for the person you were defending there.
Yeah, the chap that we were defending, he got a loan from Ulster Bank, and he borrowed about 120,000, and his payment on the particular year in question, his last payment was on the 1st of June, so he missed then the 1st of July's payment. On the 19th of that month, the bank called in the whole loan.
Okay, had he defaulted before?
No, that was the first default. This is all on court record.
So this, after one default, he was called in?
And like, he only owed 110. His property was valued over 500,000.
Okay.
So the bank were going after this because it had large equity in it.
He had originally borrowed, what was it, 80,000?
80, and got a top-up loan to do up the house, because it's an old country house with land.
Okay.
But then he wanted to sell off some of the land to pay the bank, and he had an agreement for sale on some of the land of 80,000, and he was going to give that to the bank and then try pay off the rest, and they refused that as well.
And that would have been the bulk of the mortgage.
Absolutely. I mean, it's ridiculous.
So he only missed one mortgage payment as well, because that seems quite quick for
it does,
a repossession order to be granted.
because I had to check it even. I mean, that seemed... but of course, this was 2006 now, when probably nobody was starting to default, maybe yet. You know.
So this has
been
been going on.
So probably setting down a marker or something, like, you know, maybe knowing what was coming.
So when did he default then? Was back in...
Yeah, back in 2006.
And he's been living in the house ever since?
Yes.
And has been paying his mortgage?
He's been trying to pay it, yeah.
Okay.
But he's been refusing payments, and once you start court procedures, there's no point paying the court procedures to get you out.
And unfortunately for him, in the position that he is at the moment, he's separated.
Yes.
So for him to lose the house means he does not have anywhere to bring.
Well, sure. For him to lose his house now, he becomes a burden on the state. This is why, like, some people...
But outside of that, he has family.
Oh, he has. He's a 9-year-old girl and a 2-year-old boy with special needs.
Okay, so if he loses that house, he loses custody of his children because he's nowhere to take them. Yeah,
well, I assume he's going to get accommodation somewhere. I mean, I've just heard today that he's actually thinking of handing the keys back, because he got a letter from the sheriff basically just saying, because the order for possession was postponed, we proceed to go ahead with it on a future date without any notice to you.
So they'll just arrive unannounced?
Yeah, unannounced. So that's why I think he's going to hand back the keys of the house, because obviously we can't sit with him 24 hours a day, and the sheriff has said he'll come like a thief in the night now, instead of coming back with some answers to the arguments that we gave him.
Well, this case is going through the courts at the moment. I mean, it's not at all.
No, it's finished.
It's completely finished. So what were the legal arguments then that you gave to the Deputy Sheriff during this confrontation that resulted in him leaving?
Well, in the Constitution, I wrote it down here so I have it accurate. It says, the dwelling of every citizen is inviolable and shall not be forcibly entered save in accordance with the law. Now, I'm wondering, is this lawful? It's probably legal, but is it lawful what they're doing? Because there's no separation of powers here from registrar to sheriff. I mean, in Dublin and Cork, at least we have separate sheriffs from registrars, which is proper.
But in other counties, the registrar and the sheriff
in all other counties
are the same.
Same person.
Yeah. Well, when we got some advice on this issue from some legal experts, and one particular expert said the point that Mr. Gilroy makes re a sheriff and a registrar holding the same position being unlawful is not true. In most places outside of Dublin, a registrar also often holds the position of sheriff. Registrars do not make the orders. The orders come from the courts, and the registrars do the paperwork.
No, he's wrong. In this case, the registrar made the order. It didn't come from any High Court judge, and that's why we were complaining, because the registrar's jurisdiction is 38,000, as is the Circuit Court, and that's what we were arguing about as well. Okay. So it may be legal. I think he may be confusing. It's legal, but it's not lawful, and that's what we are saying.
Okay, the piece you just read there from the Constitution, you're talking about the dweller. Now, is that different to the owner? Because if you have a mortgage, is the bank not the owner?
Well, if the bank is the owner, sure, he's going to pay the new tax charge then.
Well, that's another argument, yeah.
Well, no, he's not the owner. I mean, all he done was borrowed money, right? I mean, the person's name's on the deeds is his. So he owns the, but also, I mean, there's huge other issues with this. That's why we ask people to educate themselves. Securitisation is a huge issue all over Europe at the minute, and like we're going to hold next Wednesday 8 o'clock in the Red Cow a full information programme for people for 2 hours in the Red Cow for anyone who wants to come along, and we'll teach about fractional reserve banking, securitisation, quantitative easing, all these things that you need to know about, and on that we'll have some very, very good information as to actually who owns your house. But it is wrong and incorrect to say the bank owns your house in most cases. Well, that's why we have an issue.
My understanding was that the bank, if you have a large mortgage with the bank, that the bank owns your house until you pay off your mortgage.
Yeah, that's how most people would assume that. And if that was the case, I mean, I would agree with you. But in securitisation, what the bank done is they got your mortgage with a lot of other mortgages and sold them, traded them on. Now, we have the prospectus open in a lot of these cases, and we can open up the mortgage pools, and you can actually see your home in there where it's trading on the net. Now, the problem I have with that is the bondholders that were bailing out, and I asked the sheriff the same thing, can he guarantee the bondholders whose Lee's taxes and everybody else's taxes has bailed out is not the bondholders who we've already bailed out. Do you know what I mean? Like, are they bondholders in Ulster Bank? These are questions we need to ask.
I suppose the main thing we should stress to everybody watching this morning is that in each individual case, you need to get each case is different, and you need to get independent advice, because not everyone is going to be able to stop this happening at their doors. Just going back to the point you made about the Constitution, we did once again get legal advice, and our legal expert said the point that Mr Gilroy mentioned, Article 40, Section 5 of the Constitution, which states that the dwelling of every citizen is inviolable and shall not be forcefully entered save in accordance with the law. However, we are told that in this particular instance a court has ordered this eviction, thus it is in accordance with the law.
Yeah, well, you see, that's where we differ, because the eviction order came from a registrar who's also the sheriff, who has a jurisdiction of 38,000. The house is valued over 300,000, so I don't know how they have jurisdiction. And it may be legal, but it is not lawful. And there's a huge difference between legal and lawful.
So it continues to go back to that original point of the registrar and the sheriff.
Yeah. Like, if it came from a high court and the order was properly within the jurisdiction and signed and sealed by a high court judge, I've no problem with it. That's the point, but it's unlawful now.
Once again, I suppose everyone just needs to get their own legal advice on these issues.
Well, I mean, they should have come back and just said, well, look, here's the court order from a judge who has the authority or jurisdiction, instead of saying we'll come back to the home like a thief during the night. I mean, now Lee is being evicted because he's going to hand the keys back, and like, he's a young 2-year-old child with special needs now.
Well, I find that that's very sad, that even after what happened on Monday last, that now they're letting him know, look, we'll just arrive at the door. And he's now at the point where he's actually going to give them what they want and just hand back the keys.
Well, you see, he's a nervous type of guy, and with 2 young kids, not knowing when they're going to come, I mean, nobody wants that scene. But look, it's only the start for us anyway. Maybe
so it's a battle.
It's only the start.
But I'll tell you, Ben, you have certainly gained a lot of attention from it, and a lot of support from people all around the country who are wishing you well in the fight.
All over the world, Americans and New Zealanders and everything, saying the fighting Irish are back. So it's only the start. But we'll remain lawful. I want to stress that. And we did thank the Gardaí and the sheriff for the way they behaved at the scene. We did say that on YouTube as well.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming in to talk to us today, Ben. He's been. This is his 3rd visit to the morning show.
I actually own the sofa.
I have a feeling we'll be seeing you again soon.
Somebody will.
Thanks so much.
No bother.
Now, after the break, thinking the unthinkable, what Ireland might have been like if we'd remained part of Great Britain. We'll be discussing this after the break. Don't go away.